bike I'm working on here for Thunder Mountain, and they're here in Denver, and I've been asked to do a paint job of a pirate of some sort of theme, and for some filler work on the bike, we decided to go with kind of like an old vintage looking like banner and some flames coming off of it. And as usual, I'll be starting with white and defining everything here and setting up the layout using some shielding as well as some freehand mask. Okay, we're going to be doing a lot of our layout here with the white Stabilo, and we're just going to kind of get this element of this paint job to flow throughout the bike, kind of tie it all together and allow your eye to visually flow throughout the sheet metal work. And you know, we're also complementing a lot of the metal work on here and trying not to overtake the blue. So this is how I went about doing it. It was with this little element of flames and banner. A lot of the traditional looking freehand fire doesn't really work on this type of application where you have the source of it. You can kind of see where it's coming from, and it's on a much smaller scale, so I don't do as much large templating or shielding as I would in those cases. I would be using mostly freehand and a little bit to tighten up some edges. Probably most importantly is the level of white. You want to make sure that you get the white, you know, saturated on there enough, you know, and having the opacity of it to provide a foundation for your transparent colors going over top of it. You can see just a little freehand guide while you're laying out the flames will give you a good starting point to come back in and tighten them up, and also cleaning up the edges and doing a little bit more definition with the white. Now I'm taking the candy yellow and I'm going to basically ghost it over the flame area and allow a little bit of it to mist over the banners, but more of the saturation is going to be worked into the foundation of the flames. And you know, some of the yellow is going to blow over into the candy blue, but it's okay because you're going to be going back over with a little bit orange to tighten it up. And what's going to happen is that orange and over that blue is going to create kind of almost a darker knockout up against your flames. It's going to enhance that edge a little bit more and creating the illusion of more contrast. And then you're going to come back in with your orange candy and kind of work in the darker areas left behind by the negative spaces of the white. And this starts to build up the transition of some of the fade and interaction between these colors on your flames. I'll use a shield where it's necessary to kind of keep some of the orange off the banner. I want there to be a pretty good definition between the two. Now we're going to get the mojo ready. We're going to throw a little bit of a mixture of transparent black and purple, well reduced, and I'm going to start to do some of the definition and some of the shading in the banner, as well as the outlining around it. We're also going to use the dark purple to create some of the drop shadow and some of the shadowing effects underneath the banner to kind of give it a little bit more sense of perspective and depth. Here's a good detail shot showing how we're just kind of going around freehand outlining and enhancing some of the negative spaces left behind while you're doing your white. And this is how we're kind of setting up the undulation of the banner. And there's just a whole lot of repetitiveness here with the process of going in and setting up your shading and the core shadowing, and you know, and don't make it too bland and straight across. You know, a lot of this stuff, the shading really adds a lot of interest to the flow of the ribbon here. Okay, and lastly, we're going to come back in, we're going to pick up the highlights in our flames, and we're going to use some shielding to help enhance the contrast between the edge of the flames and the banner. And you can see where a loose hand shield was used to help that effect. And also in the flames here, you can see the shielding working to your advantage to crispen up some of the turns and adding a little bit of interest and definition to some of these licks in the flames. Okay, and finally we're going to take some of that candy yellow again, and we're going to go back over top of the white, and we're going to saturate it. And the cool thing about working with the candies like this is they all melt together, you know, once you re-wet them with the other candies. And knocking them back white, what you begin to do is pick up a lot of secondary tones and a lot of the other interaction from the previous applications of color.